You're listening to Murder Not Murdering with Erin,
and Autumn,
a true crime podcast about murder and murdering.
but we are not murderers.
Well, many of you don't know, but last week Autumn roasted me for wearing a bathrobe, and I tonight am not wearing a bathrobe.
She's not wearing any clothes at all this time.
I'm such a liar. I am actually wearing a pair of chic black pajamas with a white lining. And I'm drinking my trademark tea that I drink while we're recording. So
I'm glad that it's trademarked.
I wanted to set the scene for what kind of glamour happens when we're recording.
Yes.
Autumn is not wearing a bra. So
my God.
And a pair of tie-dyed pajamas.
That's true.
So,
she's telling the truth. Although, are you wearing a bra?
I am wearing like a sports bra thing.
Oh.
A cami, whatever those are.
I don't wear a bra to bed. I know that's TMI, but
I'm not going to bed right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't wear one in my pajamas.
You stay awake through the podcast or no?
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to find out.
By the way, that was so awesome to have our 20th episode last week. And I still am like freaking out about our connection in the last one because it was so unplanned and just like crazy. But so fitting for our 20th episode. So that was kind of awesome.
And everyone who's listened is like, are you sure you didn't do that? I promise you guys.
I know.
We did not plan it. No. We just had that insane connection. And of course we did. Yeah. We only have two rules that if it involves children or sexual assault, Autumn has to tell me ahead of time. Just for my own trauma. So outside of that, it's, those are our two only rules. And she doesn't tell me what cases or any information about them. She just tells me, hey, prepare yourself. It's going to have this involved in it. Yes. And that is the only rule. We don't tell each other the name of the people or anything. So she had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah. And I just full on just destroy Autumn every time. Especially when I was on that dismemberment stint.
Oh, dude.
I was like, is this my thing? Is this going to be like the thing that I cover dismemberments? But
old timey and dismemberments.
Yep.
That was kind of you for a while.
My jam. I'm still going to keep them old timey a bit, but every once in a while I'll venture into modern year.
Right. It makes it so much easier for your research as well.
It does. And, the only problem is that you usually know them. That's what I like about the old timey ones is you 99% of the time have never heard of the ones that I've done. Besides like the big, like Murder Castle or one of the famous ones.
I hadn't actually even heard of him though. Remember?
Even better.
Yeah. That one was a good one too. I didn't know about him.
If you haven't heard of it, then go back in our previous episodes and listen to H. Holmes, The Murder Castle.
That's a really good one.
It is a good one. Okay, so I have like a really sad one, and I'm just gonna let everybody know that I may cry in it. I am near my period. I menstruate. I am a lady, and that is what happens.
Maybe we should name this episode the TMI case. Autumn isn't wearing a bra. Erin is on her period.
Almost. That makes it worse. I feel like I'm so much more emotional right before. You're welcome, listeners. Get to know us.
Yes, we're an open book here.
Yeah. Also, if you follow us on our Instagram, I did place a flyer at the Southgate roller rink in White Center, and it is somewhere up inside the facility. So if you find it, go and take a picture of yourself with it, or just take a picture of it and tag us Murder Not Murdering on Instagram. We would love to see if people hunt it down and find it.
Yes. And we'll share it on our Instagram if you tag us.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Also, it's just, I love it. Anywho, Um, I took a prime spot too. Um, so I'm gonna start if you're ready, Autumn.
I'm here for it.
Or do you want to talk more about our wardrobes?
I think everyone has pretty much got the picture of what we're wearing today.
I'm going to jump right in. And like I said, mine is pretty sad. So I'm going to leave you all feeling pretty morose. And then Autumn's going to bring us back down.
It's true.
I'm going to jump right in. This is one of the most brutal murders in Hollywood and Broadway history that has almost been entirely forgotten. This is the story of Danny Lockin. Daniel Joseph Lockin was an actor, singer, and dancer who appeared on Broadway and in film. Danny was the only child of Joseph and Jean Lockin. His father, Joe, had met and married his mother, Jean, upon her return to the Midwest after a post-high school stint as a Manhattan dancer in the last days of vaudeville. Joe accepted a job as an operations manager at Dole Pineapple, and the couple married and settled in Hawaii, where they had their son, Danny, who was born July 13th, 1943. After the war years, the family settled back in the States, where Jean opened a successful dance studio in Omaha, Nebraska. Danny spent much of his childhood at the studio and danced so well that his mother wasted no time in creating a professional act for her son. Young Danny and Neil Reynolds were paired as the two checkers on account that Danny was white and Neil was black. They performed, yeah, I know.
Oh, you knew I was like sitting here with my mouth open.
I will be addressing that in just a second. They performed their song and dance in pantomime act on the summer state fair circuit and in hotels of Omaha. Eventually, 1950s racism and segregated venues put an end to the duo's act, and Danny had the showbiz bug and was not stopping in his pursuit of stardom. I would like to note that Danny was always known to advocate for equal rights for all, and it was the 50s. Not that it's excused, because it's not, but you can understand why they did that branding and the racism. So now in 1959, the Lockins moved into their new home in Anaheim, California, in Orange County, 35 miles south of Hollywood, where Danny excelled in academics, theater arts, and gymnastics at Rancho Alamitos High School in Garden Grove. After Joe died in the summer of 1961, Jean worked at her busy dance studio in Anaheim, and Danny landed a few small parts on Dr. Kildare, Father of the Bride, My Three Sons, and did a Head and Shoulders TV commercial.
I loved Father of the Bride.
I know. He also unsuccessfully auditioned for the role of Rolf in The Sound of Music.
Oh I love that movie too.
Yeah, well, he unsuccessfully auditioned, so he did not get the role of Rolf. But anyway, but you can see his career is going, he's getting the big auditions and going to the big places and doing all of that. So the 17-year-old Danny, with his 5'6" small frame, red hair, and freckles, often played roles younger than his own age, just typical in Hollywood.
Right.
After high school graduation, his mother before him, he tried his luck in New York City. In 1966, he got the role of Barnaby in a traveling production of Hello, Dolly, where he played opposite several Dollys, including Betty Grable, Ginger Rogers, Dorothy Lamour, Anne Russell, and Eve Arden. In 1967, it was announced that the 25-year-old Barbra Streisand would play 1890s widowed matchmaker Dolly Levi in the film production of Hello, Dolly. Danny was offered the role of Barnaby, which he had played from the stage production. And after 13 tests for MGM legend turned director Gene Kelly, he got the role.
Oh, good.
Danny was on top of the world. And later that year, he married chorus line dancer Kathy Haas. The couple moved from New York City to LA for Danny's 6-month rehearsal and shooting schedule. And Kathy became pregnant during the 1968 film shoot, which began April 15th. The budget for the film rose to $25 million, with $2 million spent to recreate the 1890s Manhattan on the Fox lot. Danny was really excited to be part of such a huge movie. By the time Hello, Dolly finally premiered, December 1969, some things had changed. Barbara's film, Funny Girl, had made her a superstar and earned her an Oscar. Unfortunately, Danny's marriage was over. His wife left him that previous summer, filing for divorce and taking their 6-month-old son, Jeremy Daniel, with her. Danny was reportedly devastated, but had to keep on smiling and performing on Broadway, where he was playing Barnaby Tucker once again, opposite the final stage dollies, Phyllis Diller, then Ethel Merman. When the Broadway show closed, he once again took the role for the roadshow productions into the early 70s. With monotonous touring life on the road and no other career prospects appearing, Danny began drinking and doing cocaine. His drug use began affecting his show business reputation a lot. Danny was 31 in 1974 when he moved back to California into his mother's Anaheim home and began working as an assistant manager and teacher at the Lockin dance studio. While Danny had been living his life in New York City in the 60s, Garden Grove, California had sprouted many gay bars, including the Happy Hour, Rumor Has It, the Mug, the Iron Spur, the Naughty Keg, the Saddle Club, and the DOK West. During these years, the gay bars in Garden Grove actually outnumbered West Hollywood's.
Oh, wow.
But that wouldn't last long, and Orange County eventually settled back into being more of a conservative area. By 1977, his mother's dance studio was closed, and Danny was working at another Orange County studio. At this time, Danny was an out bisexual and was no longer the twinkly-eyed dancer with a hot career. He had become a heavy drinker with DUI arrests and needed rides from friends and his mother. It was really sad to see him fall from grace, and being down only fueled his drink and drug use. Sunday, August 21st, 1977, began as an exciting and happy day for Danny because he and his fellow dance instructor and friend, Billy Joe Conway, were booked to appear on TV's The Gong Show. Their song and dance act was fun and visually quirky, and they pulled out all their best tap moves. And you can watch it on YouTube. It's really impressive, and you can see Danny really shine. His mother, Jean, drove him up to Burbank for the taping, which aired in primetime on September 14th. His mother told reporters it was a good night for him. He had the old light in his eyes. The pair performed well and owned the stage with their "There'll Be Some Changes Made" song and dance routine. They were given 10s across the board from celebrity judges. Danny and Billy Joe tied with another act for first place and danced among confetti. Jean said afterwards they celebrated with dinner and a martini. Then her son asked her to drop him off at the Mug in Garden Grove so he could unwind and play the pinball machine. That was the last time she saw him alive.
Oh, no.
I know. Jean later told the press that she had heard that he called a taxi around midnight from the Mug, but he didn't take it. Someone had offered him a ride. It didn't make much sense to me that he would leave with someone he didn't know, she said. He did, though. He left the bar with a slight 34-year-old unemployed medical clerk, Charles Leslie Hopkins, who already had a police record and was on probation at the time.
I don't like this.
I know. Several hours later, Hopkins called police to say that a man had entered his apartment and tried to rob him. Upon arrival, police found Danny's body on the floor of Hopkins' apartment, stabbed to death. And Autumn, that is such an understatement because he was stabbed more than 100 times.
I'm sorry. That is insane.
A majority of the wounds were 3 inches deep, and 9 of the wounds were potentially fatal ones.
Oh my gosh.
12 were on the left side of his back, 2 of which were post-mortem. On the right side of his back shows 16 stab wounds, 7 were post-mortem. 12 to his right side with 5 post-mortem. 17 on his left buttocks, all post-mortem. 26 to his right buttock, all post-mortem. And there were several more and some defensive wounds. His body had been brutalized. The official cause of death was exsanguination, which means loss of blood. Multiple stab wounds to the heart and lungs. Hopkins was arrested immediately and held on $200,000 bail.
I would hope so, because
nobody.
100 stab wounds for someone allegedly breaking into your home. That's not
well. And people saw him them leave together,
right?
So they were aware that they did leave together. In the meantime, Jean, Danny's mother, had been getting really worried about her son, who never arrived home. She began calling various hospitals, but unfortunately was told that they didn't have anyone of his description there. Because Danny had gone directly from the taping of the Gong Show, he had his performance pants on, and they were skin tight. They didn't allow for room for an ID or wallet. This meant when Danny's body was found, the police had no way to identify him. It took 2 days for them to find Jean after they ID'd him using fingerprints from his previous DUI arrest. 6 days after his death, Charles Hopkins was charged with Danny's murder. Police found a book of pornographic pictures in Charles' apartment, which showed men being tortured during sexual orgies, and several instruments they believed were used to stab Danny. Prosecutors initially intended to seek a first-degree murder conviction and use the book to prove that Hopkins had planned the murder. Hopkins' trial began May 1978, but endured a 2-month delay due to an injury by one of the deputy defenders after a bad car accident. During the delay, the Supreme Court of the United States held in United States versus Chadwick, 1977, that police may not engage in warrantless searches of an individual's property. The police believed that they had thought that they were responding to the death of an intruder, so they didn't need a search warrant.
Oh.
This meant any evidence taken from the apartment on that day was inadmissible.
Okay, now I'm getting actually really pissed.
On July 31st, the trial court ruled out the pornographic torture book. This hurt the case significantly as it showed that Hopkins premeditated the murder. It's really frustrating.
That is extremely frustrating. And because he called in that 911 call, I just feel that it should have been treated the way they treated it and not had to have gone through a search warrant.
And honestly, if they didn't have that delay because of the defender's car accident, that wouldn't have happened yet. And it would have been in the court case.
Right.
But because of the delay, that's what happened. So on August 8th, the court was a trial held without jury, and Judge Robert P. Nealand was presiding. Because the torture book was withheld, the death penalty could not be applied to Hopkins due to lack of evidence. On September 28th, 1978, Hopkins was convicted of voluntary manslaughter and sentenced to a 3-year prison term. Voluntary manslaughter is the killing of a human being in which an offender acted during the heat of passion, under circumstances that would cause a reasonable person to become emotionally or mentally disturbed to the point that they couldn't reasonably control their emotions. Charles Hopkins' story had changed once the trial started. He claimed that he had gone to bed and Danny had left. So he admits that Danny was there. Then he said he has no idea how Danny's body got there.
Mm-hmm.
No one believed him, especially since he was now recanting his story from before. So obviously a liar.
Huge liar.
Since the court was permitted to consider suppressed evidence, if the evidence was not seized merely to obtain a lengthier prison sentence and it did not shock the conscience of the court, the trial judge increased Hopkins' sentence from the usual 3 years to 4 years. And it already sucks that he was getting such a low sentence, but it gets worse. Because Hopkins was released in just over 2 years for good behavior. Justice was not served.
I'm so upset right now.
2 years.
2 years for 100 stab wounds.
I know.
That's a brutal murder.
Mm-hmm. Yep, with multiple instruments. And they had a book that showed that he was looking at pornographic torture of men. It's so upsetting.
It's not fair.
Nope, not even a little bit.
Horrific.
I know.
Like regardless of that book situation, the rage someone would have to stab somebody 100 times. Well,
and remember, a fair amount of those were post-mortem.
Right, after they were already dead.
Mm-hmm. So they just kept going.
That shows to me extreme disturbance.
I know. In a September 7th, 1977 interview with the OC Register in an article titled Barnaby Sings His Last Song, Danny's family friend and his mother's former dance partner, Vivian Nehemias, said, "The police came to the house and went over Danny's room looking for S&M instruments, but there was no evidence of that. He wasn't into anything kinky. He was just a good old-fashioned American bisexual. He had worked hard since he was 8, playing clubs, fairs, television shows, the stage, but he had become temperamental. His temper, his demand for perfection, and drink did him in as far as show business was concerned. He fought hard, and maybe he would have made it again if he had lived. Danny was many people. He was very complex and very talented. He tried to go his own way. That's showbiz." Danny was only 34 years old when he died. Mrs. Jean Lockin was absolutely devastated.
It's okay. It's really sad. Erin does not cry.
She does not. I'm stoic. Okay, let me collect myself. Mrs. Jean Lockin was absolutely devastated at the loss of her son and heartbroken. She believed he was on the precipice of turning his life around. She tried to continue dance until she suffered a series of strokes in the late 1980s. She passed away of pneumonia on May 23rd, 1990 in Fountain Valley, California. Danny Lockin's grave is in Block 29, Section 219, Grave 4, with a simple stone that says, "Daniel J. Lockin, beloved son." The murderer, Charles Hopkins, died in 2006 of a heart attack and lung cancer. There was very little public outcry for Danny's death, and many believed due to the homosexual nature of the case and societal prejudice at that time, that is why Danny's story just faded away, and justice was never served. Charles Hopkins stabbed Danny over 100 times and served only 2 years and was let out on good behavior. It's terrible and sad. This whole story breaks my heart as Danny was rebounding his career and very happy, leaving his joint win on the Gong Show, only to be brutally murdered just 6 hours later. Keep telling his story and remember him.
That was so beautiful.
God damn it. My sources were the podcast Queer Crime, backtostonewall.com, and the Life and Times of Hollywood.com.
That wasn't easy.
No, and it just makes me angry, and I'm so angry that it was just 2 years, that's just, and then he got out on good behavior for someone who brutally murdered someone. He was only 34 when he died. I mean, it's just so upsetting, and it pisses me off that it had no press, really, hardly at all.
Right. No repercussions. No.
Why was it national news? I mean, that a murderer who did such an awful thing was able to just walk away and live the rest of their life.
Right.
And his mother
was free.
And his mother was tortured by it. And it's heartbreaking. And when I was reading about this and the fact that there were hardly any podcasts that have covered it, and there were hardly any articles on it. And each article that I read were just talking about how this has just faded away, that no one remembers him, that no one remembered his life. And I just found that incredibly sad, especially when he was taking such a downturn and was starting to come back around. It was literally 6 hours after his win. It broke my heart. You're right. I don't cry very often. I cried when you were telling the Adam Walsh story. That was really difficult. But usually I can keep my shit together, but goddamn PMS and my fucking black heart turning is just like, oh God, it's just, it's especially brutal. And the fact that there's no justice in it makes me so upset. And the reason why we do this podcast is because we do want people to remember these people for the lives that they had.
100%.
And the lives that they didn't get to live. I do want to do a quick shout out to my friend Lindsay Cash, who referred me to this case. Thanks for making me cry, bitch.
I know she got me. I've been crying, so I wasn't really talking very much towards the end.
Lindsay has very sweetly given me a list of murders she thinks that I would be interested in, and I am so grateful for that. She also is an amazing artist. She is on Etsy at Trash by Cash. She makes awesome stickers and tie-dye shirts and all kinds of things. Just a lady of so many talents and a fellow connoisseur of the true crime. So thanks again, Lindsay, for doing this and sending me this case, because though it was heart-wrenching, it is important to keep saying these people's names, because a little part of it makes Charles Hopkins not get away with it.
100%. And it brings light to Danny. I didn't even know who he was until you told this story. Yeah. So now I'm very interested in looking at all of the work he did.
I know. So I'm going to wash my face and get my shit together, and we will be back in a few minutes after hearing from our sponsor. Okay, I have fanned my face and taken a bunch of sips of my tea and collected myself. So we are back and we are ready to hear Autumn's story.
And I hope I don't make you cry again.
I mean, at this point, it's most likely.
Yes, probably. It's
damn those.
My story's not going to get any better.
No, well, I mean, it's murder. It never does get better.
No,
it's just
never.
But I mean, like we were saying on the break, I was saying that, it's fascinating. I find all of this fascinating. Human behavior is fascinating, and all the things that, how they can solve different murders is very fascinating to me, and the science behind it. But every once in a while, you have those ones that just stick. They stick in your mind and they stick hard. And that was one for me.
I'm so glad you told that story. I honestly, I had never heard of him, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners had never heard of him. And it's important for people to know who he was.
Yes. And I mean, it's honestly in every single thing, part of my research that I have found, everyone said that no one really covered it, then and now. There was just very few articles for me to find, as well as, the one podcast that covered it. So I'm glad that I was able to say his name and get it out there and make sure he's not forgotten.
I think that's one of the reasons why we do this podcast, and
Sure.
It's very important.
Yeah. All right, Autumn, why don't you destroy us now?
Great. I'm going to get right on into it. It's a fairly well-known case, but recent events in everything that's happening around in the world, I just feel that if people are missing, we need to bring them home.
Sure.
And no matter how long it's been, they deserve to have their family have closure. So the more people that hear about these stories, the better.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to be talking about the disappearance of Kyron Horman. On June 4th, 2010, 7-year-old Kyron Horman went missing after attending a science fair at his elementary school, Skyline Elementary in Portland, Oregon. His disappearance has sparked the largest criminal investigation in Oregon history. As of the recording of this podcast, Kyron has been missing for 11 years, 3 months, and 17 days. And this story really hits home with his age because my bonus kid is only a year older than him.
That's awful.
So to think of
Sure.
that little boy would be 19 right now.
Yeah.
Just, geez, I can't even.
Puts it in a different perspective.
100%. Kyron Richard Horman was born on September 9th, 2002. His parents, Desiree Young and Kane Horman, divorced when Desiree was 8 months pregnant. They had some troubles before she got pregnant and almost separated. But when they found out she was pregnant, they had tried to make it work before they made it final, before it ultimately ended. They shared custody until 2004. Desiree was diagnosed with kidney failure.
Oh, God.
She required extensive medical help, most of which was done out of the country in Canada. So Kane took over full custody. Desiree was still a very active part of raising Kyron. So that's good, at least.
Yeah.
In 2001, during their divorce, Kane met substitute teacher Terry Moulton and began a romantic relationship with her. It has been rumored that he was actually seeing her while he was trying to make his marriage still work with Desiree. The couple later married in 2007 in Kauai, Hawaii. They share one child together, Kyron Horman, born December 2008. And Terry had a son, James, born in 1994 from a previous relationship. Terry and Kane and their blended family seemed to be pretty happy in the beginning and took a lot of vacations together. Desiree had also met and married a man named Tony Young and saw Kyron almost every weekend.
Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm. She lived about 2 hours away, so they had to meet in the middle when they were exchanging him, but it was important for both parents that she saw him very regularly.
Yeah.
On Friday, June 4th, 2010, at 8 a.m., Kyron's stepmother, Terry, brought Kyron to school. Having been a teacher, she was very involved with his school life. She got him into an advanced math class and also taught him sign language. Today was a little different. There was a science fair in the morning, and Kyron was very excited about it. Terry usually walked Kyron to the school bus in the morning, But because there was a science fair this day, she drove him to school. When they got to school, Terry and Kyron went to his classroom first to drop off his jacket and his backpack so that he did not have to carry them around while they attended the science fair. Terry takes a picture of Kyron standing next to his project on the red tree frog. He's wearing a CSI t-shirt and wearing glasses. This picture is the most famous picture of Kyron that has been widely circulated. Terry and Kyron attended the science fair that morning together, and she states that she left around 8:45 a.m. and that she last saw Kyron walking down the hall to his first class, his math class, where they had left his backpack and jacket earlier that morning. However, Kyron never made it to his first class. He was marked absent from school that day. His stepmother was the last person to see him. He has never been seen again.
Oh man, Autumn.
I know.
You're getting
I know. I had to like wipe a tear. I'm not kidding. Upon leaving the school at 8:45 a.m., Terry drove 9 minutes to the Fred Meyer grocery store in Hillsboro, Oregon. She needed to fill a prescription for her 2-year-old daughter, Kiara, who had an ear infection. She was there from 9 a.m. to 9:12 a.m. The store did not have the medication she needed. She grabbed a drink from Starbucks while in the store, and the receipt is stamped with the time of 9:12 a.m. She also appears on surveillance cameras from inside the store, verifying the time frame and her activities inside the store.
Okay.
From the Hillsboro Fred Meyer, she heads to the Fred Meyer in Beaverton, about 20 minutes away, to see if they had the medication at this location that she was still in need of for her daughter. While there, she ran into a woman she knew from the gym. The woman stated that they chatted for longer than she had ever spoken to her before, and that Terry showed her the picture of Kyron from earlier that morning at the science fair. After she left Fred Meyer at 10 a.m., Terry dropped off her husband Kane's dry cleaning at Magic Dry Cleaners, which is in the same parking lot as Fred Meyer. The dry cleaner said she came in alone without her daughter to drop off the clothes. And Terry stated she parked right out front and left Kiara in the car for only a few moments while she was dropping off the clothing.
Okay.
Which I don't think you should leave your child in the car for even
never
2 minutes.
Just as a PSA that we've said before, don't fucking leave your kids in the car.
No, ever.
Just take them with you. Like, it's a pain in the ass to get them in and out of the car seat, whatever. Just take them with you.
Even she was probably fussy from her ear infection, whatever. You don't leave your child in the car.
Not ever.
Like, under any circumstances.
No.
From the dry cleaners, Terry went to Michael's craft store. And we are not sure how long she was in that store. She is unaccounted for during this time, from 10:10 a.m. to about 11:40 a.m. She has stated that she was driving around in her car trying to soothe her daughter because of her ear infection. Which, knowing kids, this is not a far-fetched situation.
Oh, absolutely not. Back in the day, I was not above just going on a long joyride in hopes for a nap.
Right. Like, that's exactly what she said. She was trying to get her to sleep.
Yeah.
At 11:40 a.m., Terry went to the 24-hour fitness gym in Beaverton and checked Kiara into the daycare. She stayed until 12:20 p.m. and was home by 12:40 p.m. When Terry got home, she posted pictures on her Facebook page of Kyron and the science fair. Kane, Kyron's father, comes home that day around 2 p.m. and takes a shower. Kane worked at Intel as an engineer. At 3:30 p.m., Kane, Terry, and Kiara walked to the bus stop to meet Kyron to walk with him back to their home. However, when the bus arrives, Kyron does not get off the bus. And the bus driver confirms to them that Kyron never even got on the bus that afternoon. Kane and Terry call the school, and the school lets them know that he had not been at school that day and that he was marked absent. Terry asks the school to call 911 immediately, and she starts calling around to the teachers in the school, asking if they had seen Kyron.
I'd be in a full panic.
Totally. And she was involved with his schooling and everything. So she had these
everybody to talk.
Yes. And she was a teacher. So it makes sense that she was like, call 911, I'll call the teachers.
Yeah, totally.
And there was confirmation from the principal. They saw Kyron and Terry at the school that morning. So it wasn't like she wasn't there. He wasn't there. I mean, there's a picture of him in front of his science project.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I keep thinking about how the school did not report him absent to his family. But the secretary says there was some confusion regarding this, that Terry had informed her that he had a doctor's appointment on Friday. And even though Terry had meant next Friday, the secretary assumed since he was not there that day, she had meant that Friday.
Oh my God. Because otherwise they would have called and left the message that their child was labeled absent.
Right. Especially at an elementary school.
Yeah, that's so awful.
It's horrible. I also am unsure how red flags were not going off for this teacher when she saw that his backpack and jacket were there, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
There was even a talent show that day in addition to the science fair at 1 p.m. and little Kyron was scheduled to be in it. And no red flags. That didn't raise any red flags for the school.
I guess if she would have thought that they had, I would have, as a teacher, you probably would have assumed the absence had been reported to the parents.
You would think, but from the way it sounds, it doesn't sound like this elementary school had just one class all day like ours
sounds like
did.
They dropped the ball.
Well, it also sounds like they had multiple classes, like multiple teachers. So it might have been a little bit, maybe they just didn't communicate at all and didn't realize the situation.
Yeah.
It's just sad when things like that happen, miscommunications and whatnot. Within an hour of calling 911, there are police officers at Skyline Elementary and at the Horman's home. They begin putting together a timeline of the morning and asking Terry and Kane about their whereabouts that day before they realized that their son was missing. 7 p.m. that evening, the FBI was contacted, and by 10 p.m., there was a search and rescue team assembled to look for the 7-year-old boy. The FBI and local police department searched extensively, mostly focused in on a 2-mile radius from the elementary school in an area called Suvi Island. They have never publicly announced why they focused in that specific area.
Oh.
But they were not able to find him. There has to be a reason. It
does seem odd. I mean, yeah.
And there has to be a reason they're keeping it secret too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Why wouldn't they just release the information and say, oh, we considered this because of X, Y, and Z?
Right. And they've never said anything. Yeah, they've never said anything. So that leads me to believe they have a piece of information they're not releasing to the public.
Yeah.
On June 9th, 2010, the Horman family, who had initially refused to speak with the media, released a statement to the press. Kyron's family would like to thank people for support and interest in finding their son. The outpouring of support and continued effort strengthens their hope. We need for folks to continue to assist us in our goal. Please search your properties, cars, outbuildings, sheds, etc. Also check with neighbors and friends who may be on vacation or may need an assistance in searching. There are a lot of resources here to help you search, so please don't stop. It is obviously a difficult time, and they want to speak to the public so you can hear it from Kyron's family as they come together to share their message. Their objective is to keep the focus on Kyron and not about anything else.
Yeah.
On June 12th, around 300 trained rescuers were on the ground searching wooded areas near Skyline Elementary. The search for Kyron, which spanned over 10 days, was the largest in Oregon history and included over 1,300 searchers from Oregon, Washington, and California. A reward for information leading to the discovery of Kyron was initially $25,000 and expanded to $50,000 by July of 2010. In June 2010, during the investigation into Kyron's disappearance, Kyron's father, Kane, was told by the authorities that Terry had offered their landscaper, Rodolfo Sanchez, a lot of money to kill her husband.
What?
This part reminds me of Jerry Springer, and I'm not kidding. It's like some kind of soap opera. It gets better.
Okay.
Rodolfo Sanchez testified in a deposition that Terry approached him to help kill her husband in January of 2010, which was 5 months before Kyron's disappearance. However, when Terry's attorney, Stephen Howes, asked if Terry asked him to kill her husband, he said no. Authorities convinced Rodolfo Sanchez to confront Terry while wearing a wire. But they were right.
I'm like, ooh.
I know, but they were unable to obtain any evidence and could not make an arrest. On June 28th, Kane filed for divorce and obtained a restraining order against Terry. The divorce was granted, and Terry was granted supervised visitation with their daughter, Kiara. So I'm sorry, but now I'm thinking, did you do something to Kyron?
Right.
Because you wanted to off your husband, regardless of the evidence they weren't able to collect. It seems that the gardener wouldn't have anything to gain by coming forward and saying that this had happened.
Yeah.
And he was willing to wear a wire. So if he was lying, you would think that he would have been like, no, I'm good.
You would think.
But the situation, I mean, what? Weird, and very suspicious.
Very.
During this time, Terry failed 2 separate polygraph examinations regarding Kyron's disappearance. In August 2010, it was announced that law enforcement were searching for an individual allegedly seen by 2 witnesses sitting inside Terry's truck outside Skyline Elementary the day of Kyron's disappearance. Bruce McCain, a former sheriff for the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office, said the identity of that second person, if he or she existed, could be critical in determining what happened to Kyron after 9 a.m. on June 4th. In July 2010, a Multnomah County grand jury subpoenaed several friends of Terry Horman, including Dee Dee Speicher, whom Desiree Young and Kane Horman described as having been in close communication with Terry, and providing Terry with support and advice that is not in the best interests of our son. According to law enforcement, Dee Dee was extremely cooperative and allowed a search of her property and car, as well as 3 hours worth of questioning from detectives.
Oh, wow.
On the day of Kyron's disappearance, Dee Dee abruptly left her work gardening for a homeowner at their residence on Germantown Road in Northwest Portland around 11:30 a.m. and returned around 90 minutes later. She also allegedly helped Terry purchase an untraceable cell phone.
I really don't like this.
Right? During this time, Dee Dee told journalists, "There's this horror that my friend is going through. If I thought for a second that she was capable of foul play, I would not have been there. She would not have been my friend in the first place." In early August 2010, Desiree Young and Kane Horman were subpoenaed and testified during the grand jury, as well as a school principal of Skyline Elementary. In December 2010, it was reported by the Oregonian that the grand jury had yet to provide compelling evidence yielding a potential indictment. By November 29th, 2010, search efforts in Kyron's case had an estimated $1.4 million, according to county commissioners, and yielded 4,257 tips.
Whoa.
Which is a lot.
A lot. My God.
I know. In May 2017, it was reported by KGW that a secret grand jury panel continued to hear evidence in Kyron's disappearance and had convened on multiple occasions. During the report, Kyron's case was described as still active and ongoing. 2 months later, in July 2017, law enforcement conducted further searches along Skyline Boulevard, but the searches yielded no results. In June 2018, Horman's mother, Desiree, posted on the official Find Kyron Horman Facebook page, "Stay tuned. Something big is coming. I promise you."
What?
But nothing. I went to that page.
Yeah.
And nothing has come.
That is really strange.
So I'm not saying that she doesn't know something, but that was in 2018 and it is now 2021.
Yeah.
What was come? Nothing yet. It's really sad.
I agree.
Really, really sad. Obviously, from his parents, Desiree and Kane believed Terry to be guilty.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of research looking at this case, and I'm kind of on the fence because if it wasn't for the whole I'm going to hire someone to kill my husband 5 months before my stepson goes missing, I would be on her case, probably because I'm a bonus mom and I know how I feel about him. And there's no way I would ever do anything to jeopardize his safety. But the timeline that she has is also very difficult for her to have done something.
Yeah.
I also feel it to be a very strange time to have done something because she took him to the science fair. Everyone saw him there.
Yeah, but to me, it seems odd because she went and ran all of those errands and people saw her and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would mean that she would had to have had, excuse me, she would have had to have had him with her during that time.
Right.
Or and had done something and then brought his body out.
Right. Like the whole thing, it doesn't make sense to me logistically or time-wise.
Yeah.
Especially since if you think about it, first of all, there was a talent show and a science fair at the school that day, which means there are a lot of strangers there. There's more people there than normal.
Yeah.
That aren't normally there. And she saw him walking towards his math class, and who knows what could have happened after that.
Sure.
I mean, I'm not saying that she's innocent. I don't know, but it'd be, in my mind, very difficult for her to snatch him and then take him in her car with all these errands with Kiara, who was 2 at the time, and she had an ear infection and she had to run all these errands. Then she came home and was posting on Facebook all these pictures. Yeah. And then went to go get her son at the bus stop. And it's just, I mean, I guess if you are that insane to kill a child, I don't know what you would do afterward, but it doesn't seem very, very plausible to me.
I agree. It doesn't, the timeline just doesn't seem like it adds up to me either.
No, it's just very tight. Mm-hmm. And I mean, at this point, you would think there would have been some kind of evidence on her, because how could you clean up a crime scene in that amount of time as well?
Yeah.
And get rid of a body. And as gruesome as that sounds, get rid of a body in that short amount of time with no evidence, and he still hasn't been located.
Yeah.
I just feel that is just too short of a time frame.
I mean, it does feel like too short of a time frame. And again, like she would have had to have like basically taken him
with her. Like that's the only way that really works.
Totally.
Because somebody would have seen him.
Right.
You know,
especially when she was talking to that like acquaintance of hers from the gym.
Yeah.
And showing her pictures of him from the science fair.
But I mean, like somebody let's say she didn't take him with and then went back or whatever. Like somebody would have seen him from the science fair on. You know what I mean? He would have gone to other classes or something. You know, it all just seems a bit fishy to me.
Right.
And that's how it actually played out.
100%. It just doesn't seem logical. And then his father was behaving very weirdly as well, because
the thing about when you said that he got home, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
no,
when you said that he got home and took a shower, I was kind of like,
yes, me too, because
the shower.
Well, first of all, he was an engineer at Intel, so I'm not sure what you were doing that makes you right. Like you weren't doing anything physical labor wise, and I can't find anything online to see what his normal hours were, but like, why were you home so early?
Sure. Something about it seems odd.
It's odd as well.
As soon as you said about the shower, I was like, was it him?
Right. I have a suspicion of that as well, especially since also when he was like the whole investigation, he sent out an email to all of his coworkers asking them not to talk to the police or the media.
I don't like that at all.
That doesn't sit well with me.
I get that you're private and you're like, please don't talk on my behalf or talk about me and my family. I mean, I could understand wanting that privacy a little bit, because the last thing you want is for someone that's like a coworker to be like, I know them and they seem not, you know, or whatever.
Right.
I can understand wanting a little bit of privacy in that.
I just feel that he was specific in it, saying like, don't talk about what I do here at work or what I left, or, you know what I mean? Just the way he supposedly worded this email just seems kind of weird, and it didn't sit well with his coworkers.
Yeah.
And I mean, I understand not speaking to the media. You don't know these people like in their family and their situation, but asking them not to talk to the police is kind of strange.
See, now that I find odd. If it was just the media, I'd totally get it, because you're like, you know, this is already hard enough. The last thing I want is my coworkers going and talking about my life or to anybody.
Right.
But the not talking to police is the part that I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Why? What do you have to hide that someone couldn't say like what your work habits were or something?
It's super strange.
It is. It's sketch.
And then Desiree, his mother, his biological mother, filed a civil lawsuit against Terry.
Oh.
In 2012. The lawsuit claimed that she was responsible for the disappearance of Kyron.
Oh.
And that the lawsuit attempted to prove that Terry had kidnapped Kyron on the day he disappeared. And she sought $10 million in damages from Terry. That
seems odd.
Yes.
Why would you want $10 million in damages? You just, you know, that
100%. Yeah. But apparently
you can't put a dollar amount. You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah, I don't like that.
And why are you filing a civil lawsuit against her instead of like trying to find evidence?
Yeah.
It's just that doesn't sit well with me either.
No.
But she ended up dropping the lawsuit so that to not interfere with the ongoing police investigation. So that's good.
Well, that's good.
Because I feel like that's way more important than suing her.
Yeah.
Investigators have never been able to obtain any significant information regarding Kyron's disappearance or whereabouts, and have not made any arrests at all.
Is that it? Tell me there's something else.
That's it. They have nothing.
So it just goes cold then.
Yes, for now 11 years.
That is heartbreaking.
That's why I'm like, if anybody you don't even know if you know something. Yeah. Right. And it's like this poor boy, who knows? Like, honestly, they haven't found him.
Yeah, he could still be alive.
He could still be very much alive. 7 years old is pretty young. So if you were taken and given some sort of story, or you were raised for now 11 years, you might not even know that you used to have a childhood with other humans.
Well, and there's lots of people out there that, have taken children and then just, Stockholm syndrome and kept them.
100%. So maybe he even is still alive and listens to our podcast because we're that great.
That was the dumbest thing you've ever said.
You don't know that, okay?
Uh-huh.
But in all seriousness, I truly feel that we need to give people voices, and this poor little boy is still missing. Mm-hmm. And he's not a little boy anymore, which also, like I said earlier, just makes me even more sad because he would be the same age almost as my bonus kid.
Yeah. It really is heartbreaking.
My sources were Wikipedia, the podcast Going West, the ID channel Lost Boy, People Magazine, ABC News, and the Oregonian.
God damn.
I know.
I know, because when we talked earlier, you warned me that this was another kid one. And I was like, 2 kids in a row, can't do this to me. But I understand that because it's unsolved, there is a reason why, because you need to get these names out there, and especially right now, given the current media going on, there are more people talking about missing persons cases in this very moment. And, that some have been solved by now getting more media attention. So if we can contribute in any way to that, and it is Pacific Northwest, hopefully something will jog someone's memory, or, who knows what's going to happen.
Or maybe someone was blabbing their mouth about something and now's the time to come forward.
Exactly. Blab away.
Right. You just never know. And we'll have his picture on our website. They also have a computer generated age progression.
Oh, that's good.
So I think that's really important that people see his face.
Absolutely. And we always add photos of the people in our cases on our Instagram page so that you can see a lot of the things that we talk about. That's at Murder Not Murdering. And then we also post those pictures on our website where you go to listen to episodes. So that's murdernotmurdering.com. And if you do have any cases that you would like us to cover, please send us an email at info@murdernotmurdering.com or send us a DM. And we always appreciate getting cases from other people, just because sometimes, things stick out in our heads and we get stuck on a maybe a old timey dismemberment chain. So it's always good to liven it up.
Yes. And we also might not have ever heard of that case either. Yeah. So that could be really interesting because we love researching.
Yes. And I love when there's a personal connection to it as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it, especially this last time with our 20th episode. I've received so many messages about cases for people wanting to hear about things, which has been so refreshing.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for listening to us again. And we'll be back next week with 2 new cases. So we will see you soon. Bye.
Bye.